Hello Midnights, we hope you enjoy our stories. Next, unlocking the secrets of the Nazca Lines, ancient alien runways or human genius. Let us know where you are listening from and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you. The Nazca Lines, often spelled Nazca Lines, are a collection of colossal geoglyphs meticulously etched into the arid coastal plains of southern Peru, a landscape that has preserved their enigmatic beauty for millennia. These awe-inspiring ancient earth drawings, stretching across a vast flat desert plateau primarily nestled between the modern towns of Nazca and Palpa in the ICA region, represent one of the most profound and enduring archaeological mysteries of the ancient world. They stand as an unparalleled testament to the sophisticated ingenuity, spiritual depth, and cosmological understanding of pre-Columbian cultures. The vast majority of these intricate designs were created by the enigmatic Nazca culture, which flourished in this region from approximately 100 BCE to 800 CE. However, archaeological investigations, particularly in recent decades, have unearthed tantalizing evidence suggesting that some of the earlier, simpler, linear and geometric designs might actually stem from the preceding Paracas culture, dating back as far as 800 to 200 BCE, indicating a long and continuous tradition of land modification and symbolic expression in this unique environment. The monumental artworks themselves present an astonishing array of forms, a lexicon of ancient thought etched onto the desert canvas. From remarkably precise geometric shapes, encompassing an astounding network of straight lines that often stretch for dozens of kilometers, to colossal trapezoids, rectangles, triangles, spirals, zigzags, and radial centers, to incredibly intricate zoomorphic animal, phytomorphic plant, and even anthropomorphic human-like figures. Their sheer scale, their astonishing technical precision in execution, and the profound, almost overwhelming, mystery surrounding their creators' ultimate intentions have captivated archaeologists, historians, mystics, and the global public for over a century. Their unparalleled universal value as a unique cultural and historical artifact was officially recognized when they were rightfully designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1994, solidifying their status as an irreplaceable and fragile testament to ancient human creativity and spiritual endeavor. The extraordinary preservation of the Nazca Lines, a phenomenon that has allowed these shallow etchings to endure for over 2 millennia, is intrinsically linked to the highly specific and remarkably stable geological and climatic conditions of the region. The geoglyphs are meticulously crafted upon the Pampa Colorada, a high, flat, wind-swept plateau that forms a significant part of the larger Nazca Desert. This vast expanse, covering approximately 450 square kilometers, about 170 square miles of flat, elevated terrain, lies within one of the world's most hyper-arid regions. The extreme aridity is truly remarkable, with the area receiving an astonishingly low average of less than 20 millimeters (0.8 inches) of rainfall annually, making it one of the driest places on Earth. This profound lack of precipitation, coupled with remarkably stable, almost windless atmospheric conditions that characterize the region, is the primary, almost miraculous factor in the geoglyphs' astonishing endurance. Without significant rainfall or strong winds to erode the delicate lines, they have remained largely undisturbed since their creation. The desert floor here is uniquely composed, a crucial element in the Nazca's artistic medium. It features a superficial layer of reddish-brown pebbles and sand, colored by the pervasive presence of iron oxides, typically ranging from a mere 10 to 30 centimeters, 4 to 12 inches in depth. Beneath this dark, oxidized, and slightly unstable top layer lies a contrasting, much lighter yellowish-gray stratum, primarily composed of calcium carbonate, limestone, and clay. The Nazca artisans, with an intuitive understanding of their environment, created the lines by carefully removing the darker, superficial layer of iron-rich pebbles and sand. This meticulous process exposed the contrasting, much lighter subsoil beneath, creating the stark color differential that ensures the geoglyphs are distinctly visible against the darker desert floor. This technique, simple in concept yet monumental in execution, is a testament to their practical knowledge. Importantly, the removed dark stones were not simply scattered haphazardly. They were often meticulously piled along the edges of the lines, forming a low, subtle border. This border not only further accentuated the geoglyph by creating a relief effect, but also likely served a practical purpose. It acted as a low barrier, protecting the exposed lighter surface from wind erosion and from being covered by stray pebbles. Furthermore, a fascinating natural pedological process contributes significantly to their longevity. The exposed lighter sublayer of calcium carbonate, when briefly moistened by the scant morning fogs, known locally as garua, that occasionally roll in from the Pacific Ocean, undergoes a subtle chemical reaction. When this moisture then evaporates under the intense desert sun, the dissolved calcium carbonate recrystallizes, forming a hardened, almost cement-like protective crust over the exposed lines. This natural sealing mechanism effectively binds the surface, preventing erosion from minimal winds and preserving the shallow depressions of the geoglyphs for centuries. The almost complete absence of large vegetation or deep-rooted plants in this extreme desert environment also ensures that these grand designs remain unobscured and undisturbed by biological growth, allowing for their enduring visibility across the vast plain. It is a remarkable convergence of geological and climatic factors that created the perfect natural canvas and preservation chamber for the Nazca's artistic and spiritual expressions. While local indigenous communities had undoubtedly lived alongside, navigated, and recognized these patterns for centuries, integrating them into their daily lives, oral traditions, and spiritual practices, their true monumental scale and intricate designs remained largely unrecognized by the wider global scholarly community until the advent of systematic aerial travel in the 1920s. Early aviators flying over the plains, initially for commercial purposes, began to report seeing strange geometric patterns that defied comprehension from ground level. These anecdotal reports slowly piqued scientific curiosity. The first systematic academic investigation to truly shed light on these enigmatic markings began with Paul Kosok, 1896 to 1959, an American historian and professor at Long Island University. In 1939, during an aerial survey specifically aimed at studying ancient irrigation systems in Peru, Kosok famously observed a strong and unmistakable alignment of one of the particularly long straight lines with the exact point of the winter solstice sunset. This pivotal observation was a breakthrough. It led him to hypothesize that the geoglyphs were not random but held deep significance, leading him to declare the region the largest scale calendar in the world. This proclamation ignited serious scientific inquiry into the geoglyphs' true purpose and their connection to ancient astronomical knowledge. However, the most iconic and enduring figure in the study and preservation of the Nazca Lines is undoubtedly Maria Reich, 1903 to 1998. A German mathematician, geographer, and archaeologist, Reich initially arrived in Peru in 1932. She was invited by Paul Kosok to assist his burgeoning research in 1940, a collaboration that would define the rest of her life. Reich subsequently dedicated an astonishing and tireless over 40 years of her life, often working in self-imposed isolation in the harsh desert environment, enduring significant personal hardships, including dwindling financial resources and deteriorating health that led to severe vision impairment and mobility issues in her later years, to meticulously mapping, measuring, cleaning, and studying the geoglyphs. Her commitment was absolute. She lived simply in a small house near the lines, dedicating every waking hour to their understanding and protection. Her tireless work involved walking thousands of miles across the fragile desert surface, meticulously tracing the outlines of the figures, often utilizing ladders and makeshift platforms to gain elevated perspectives necessary for accurate mapping and comprehensive understanding of the larger designs. Reich became the foremost advocate for the archaeoastronomy theory, meticulously documenting hundreds of alignments and correlations, positing that the lines and figures held profound astronomical and calendrical significance. She argued that they served as a colossal observatory or a complex agricultural calendar, crucial for predicting seasonal changes, solstices, equinoxes, and the heliacal risings and settings of specific constellations. Such knowledge would have been utterly vital for agricultural planning in a region utterly dependent on precise understanding of seasonal water availability from distant mountain snowmelt. Her meticulous documentation, compiled in thousands of detailed drawings, precise measurements, and extensive field notes, laid the exhaustive foundation for all subsequent scientific research and earned her global recognition as the Lady of the Lines. Her legacy extends beyond mere academic study. She became the lines' most fervent protector, tirelessly campaigning for their conservation against modern encroachment and advocating for their recognition as a global treasure. The Nazca culture c. 100 BCE, 800 CE, largely responsible for the vast majority of the geoglyphs, flourished in the highly challenging arid river valleys of the Peruvian south coast, primarily the Nazca, Palpa, and Ingenio valleys. This was not a primitive society, but an advanced, complex civilization that demonstrated remarkable ingenuity, sophisticated social organization, and a profound connection to their environment and cosmos. Their very survival in such a challenging environment hinged critically on their sophisticated understanding and management of water. Their most impressive feat of practical engineering, vital for their very existence and often overlooked in popular discussions of the lines, was the construction of the puquios. These were intricate systems of underground aqueducts or infiltration galleries designed to tap into subterranean water tables and bring water to the surface for irrigation of their agricultural fields and for domestic use. These puquios, some extending for many kilometers underground, remain functional even today, over 1,000 years after their construction. They showcase a sophisticated understanding of hydrogeology, advanced engineering principles, and a deep commitment to sustainable water management that allowed surprisingly large populations to thrive in an otherwise inhospitable desert. The construction of these underground channels, which involved digging access shafts and carefully sloped tunnels, required an immense amount of coordinated labor and technical knowledge, rivaling the effort invested in the geoglyphs. Beyond this practical genius, Nazca culture is renowned for its exquisite polychrome pottery, which stands out for its vibrant colors, bold outlines, and complex iconography. Nazca potters utilized numerous vibrant mineral pigments sourced from across their territory, and mastered controlled firing temperatures to achieve their distinctive palette of reds, oranges, yellows, blacks, and purples. Their pottery motifs often depicted mythological beings, shamans, ritual scenes, and a range of naturalistic and fantastical animals, many of which are mirrored in the geoglyphs, suggesting a shared symbolic universe. Similarly, their intricate textiles, crafted from cotton and camelid fibers, further demonstrate advanced artistic skills, sophisticated chemical knowledge for dyes, and mastery of weaving techniques. These textiles, often richly adorned with symbolic imagery, served ceremonial, social, and practical purposes, providing another medium for their complex artistic and religious expression. The creation of the lines themselves speaks volumes about the Nazca's societal organization, technical skills, and profound cosmological beliefs. It required advanced planning and design, likely starting with small-scale models or drawings on perishable materials such as fabric or wood. These initial designs were then meticulously scaled up to enormous proportions directly on the desert floor, a feat demanding significant mathematical and geometrical understanding. They demonstrated remarkable precision in surveying expertise, maintaining perfectly straight lines over kilometers, even over undulating terrain and across natural obstacles. This was achieved using surprisingly simple yet effective tools like sighting poles to establish straight lines over distance, stretched ropes acting as giant compasses for drawing perfect circles and curves, and possibly rudimentary water-filled tubes for accurate leveling across vast distances. The actual process involved material removal, where the dark oxidized stones were carefully cleared, exposing the lighter subsoil beneath. As mentioned, these removed stones were not simply discarded, they were often meticulously piled in low mounds or subtle lines bordering the geoglyph, not only enhancing visibility by creating a raised edge, but also serving to protect the exposed lighter surface from wind and erosion, and potentially holding symbolic or ritualistic significance themselves. This monumental effort, sustained over generations and involving the coordination of hundreds, if not thousands of individuals, points to a well-organized society, capable of directing specialized individuals, such as engineers and ritual specialists, and mobilizing communal labor for such complex, often non-utilitarian, projects. The creation of these sacred landscapes was not merely an artistic endeavor, it was likely a profound communal act, deeply embedded in their religious practices, reinforcing social cohesion, collective identity, and shared religious belief. The sheer diversity of the Nazca Lines is astounding, encompassing a vast array of forms that continue to reveal new insights into the Nazca symbolic universe. Ongoing research, particularly with the aid of modern technology, continues to reveal new ones, significantly expanding our understanding. Thousands of straight lines and geometric figures constitute the overwhelming majority of the geoglyphs, ranging from single lines spanning dozens of kilometers to complex trapezoids, rectangles, triangles, spirals, and zigzags. These geometric forms often intersect, creating elaborate networks. Some appear to converge at specific points or radial centers, serving as foci for multiple lines spreading outwards like spokes from a wheel, creating a complex, interlocking web across the landscape. These radial centers are sometimes interpreted as ritual processional paths, with groups walking along designated lines to reach a central sacred point. The most famous and visually striking are, however, the biomorphic figures, which include detailed zoomorphic animal and phytomorphic plant designs, ranging in size from a few meters to hundreds of meters. Common animal motifs include various birds, the hummingbird 93 meters long, depicted with intricate detailing on its wings and beak, suggesting its role in pollination and its association with vibrancy. The majestic condor 134 meters, a powerful scavenger and symbol of the upper world in Andean cosmology, and the pelican, often seen holding fish in its beak, connecting to the vital resources of the Pacific Ocean. Other animals include the monkey 93 x 58 m, uniquely depicted with 9 fingers on each hand and a distinctive spiraling tail, perhaps symbolizing abundance or a playful trickster deity. Numerous llamas, vital pack animals and sources of wool and meat, are also frequently depicted, especially in newer discoveries, often in profile. Marine life, reflecting their coastal proximity, includes creatures like the spider 47 minutes, sometimes interpreted as an astrological symbol due to its connection to certain constellations, and the powerful killer whale. Plants such as stylized trees and various flowers also feature prominently, often linked to fertility and agricultural cycles. Less numerous but highly intriguing are the anthropomorphic figures, including the famous astronaut or owl man figure, approximately 30 meters tall, uniquely depicted on a hillside rather than the flat plain. This figure, often shown with large staring eyes, a halo-like head, and elaborate headdresses, is widely believed to represent a human in ritualistic attire, a shaman in a deep trance state, or a powerful deity of the Nazca pantheon. The last decade has seen a revolution in Nazca line research due to rapid advancements in drone technology, 3D mapping, and artificial intelligence (AI). Teams, most notably from Yamagata University in Japan led by Professor Masato Sakai, have made groundbreaking discoveries, identifying hundreds of previously undetected geoglyphs. These are often smaller, less distinct figures, partially eroded or obscured by centuries of dust and minimal natural erosion, demonstrating AI's unprecedented power in identifying subtle patterns that human observers might easily miss. These new finds have significantly broadened the known range of Nazca iconography, including a wider array of animal forms and complex human-like figures, some even depicting trophy heads or scenes of headhunting, a documented Nazca ritualistic practice with deep cosmological meaning related to power, fertility, and renewal. Modern research now also more carefully distinguishes between larger path-type geoglyphs, like the long straight lines and large trapezoids, which were likely designed for aerial or distant hillside viewing, perhaps by deities or observers from sacred mountain peaks, and smaller relief-type geoglyphs, often found on slopes near ancient trails, suggesting they were created and observed at ground level during processions or rituals, functioning as markers or directional indicators for pilgrims embarking on sacred journeys. The precise function of the Nazca lines remains the subject of intense scholarly debate. However, the prevailing academic consensus is that they likely served multiple, interconnected purposes, all deeply rooted in the Nazca worldview, cosmology, and practical needs, with no single theory offering a complete or monolithic explanation for all geoglyphs. The astronomical and calendrical indicator theory, championed so tirelessly by Maria Reich, remains a cornerstone of interpretation. Her meticulous work identified many lines aligning with solstices, equinoxes, and the heliacal risings and settings of specific constellations, such as the Pleiades, which signaled the beginning of the planting season, or the Belt of Orion. Such precise celestial observations would have been crucial for predicting agricultural cycles in the arid environment, signaling optimal times for planting, harvesting, and managing scarce water resources. This precise calendrical system would have been invaluable for a culture utterly dependent on farming and the periodic influx of water from distant mountain snowmelt. Another widely supported theory views them as ritualistic pathways and ceremonial sites, suggesting the Nazca people walked along these sacred lines during elaborate ceremonies, possibly related to water cults, fertility rites, or offerings to deities. The sheer number of radial centers, from which multiple lines emanate, strongly suggests these were points of convergence for ritual processions. The figures themselves could have been colossal offerings, made visible to sky gods, or designated sacred precincts where rituals were performed directly on the ground. The strong architectural and ceremonial connections between many geoglyphs and the ancient ceremonial center of Kawachi, a major Nazca pilgrimage site and religious capital located in the Nazca Valley, further strengthens this theory. Kawachi, with its monumental adobe pyramids and plazas, was a hub of religious activity, and the close proximity and alignment of many lines to it suggest the entire plain was an integrated ritual landscape connected by sacred routes and foci, where religious rites extended across the vast open-air temple. Given the region's extreme aridity, water cults and fertility symbols are also a compelling theory that intertwines with many others. Water was life in the desert, and its scarcity would have made it a central focus of Nazca religious beliefs and rituals. Many depicted animals like monkeys, various birds, pelicans, hummingbirds, and spiders are frequently associated with water, rain, or fertility in Andean cosmology, often appearing as bringers of rain or symbols of life-giving moisture. Some lines have been observed to lead towards known water sources or puquios, and the prevalence of zigzag patterns, often interpreted as representing flowing water or lightning, a sign of rain, further supports this vital connection, positioning the lines as elaborate prayers, invocations for rainfall, or symbolic pathways for water to flow across the arid land. Additionally, scholars propose the lines functioned as territorial markers or clan symbols, perhaps delineating resource access or representing collective identities in shared sacred spaces, thereby reinforcing social cohesion within a complex society. They might also have been integral to shamanic practices and vision quests, with the long lines marking routes for ritual walks or providing powerful visual stimuli during hallucinogenic trance states, allowing shamans to commune with animal spirits or cosmic forces. The grand scale and visibility from above strongly imply an audience beyond the immediate human realm, suggesting communication with deities, serving as monumental messages or offerings directly to their sky gods, who resided above and whose favor was essential for ensuring the continuation of life. The very act of creating such massive, intricate designs visible from the sky could have been an act of reverence, a monumental prayer directed upwards. Finally, some scholars suggest certain sets of lines might have served as pilgrimage maps or navigational aids along sacred routes, guiding travelers to specific sacred locations or vital water sources within the vast featureless desert. These multiple interpretations are not mutually exclusive. Rather, they suggest a layered meaning, reflecting the complex and holistic worldview of the Nazca people. Despite the wealth of archaeological understanding and the continuous advancement of scientific research, the Nazca Lines have gained significant popular notoriety, often overshadowing academic consensus, due to the enduring appeal of the ancient astronaut theory. The single most influential figure responsible for widely popularizing this alien theory in relation to the Nazca Lines and numerous other ancient sites globally is Erich von Däniken, a Swiss author. Von Däniken, who had no formal archaeological, historical, or scientific training and whose primary background was in the hotel industry, burst onto the international scene with his sensational best-selling book, Chariots of the Gods: Unsolved Mysteries of the Past, originally published in German as Erinnerungen die Zukunft, Memories of the Future, in 1968. This book was an unprecedented global phenomenon, selling tens of millions of copies worldwide and profoundly shaping popular perceptions of ancient wonders. It effectively launched the entire ancient astronaut genre, laying the groundwork for countless subsequent books, documentaries, and TV series that continue to this day. In Chariots of the Gods and his numerous subsequent works, television appearances, and documentaries, von Däniken put forth the radical hypothesis that extraterrestrial beings, whom he dubbed ancient astronauts or paleo contacts, visited Earth in antiquity and significantly influenced early human civilizations. He posited that these highly advanced alien visitors were mistaken for gods by our primitive ancestors, and that their advanced technology and knowledge were imparted to humans, enabling them to construct monumental structures or develop sophisticated scientific understanding, supposedly beyond their native capabilities. Von Däniken's arguments regarding the Nazca Lines rested on a few key observations and assumptions. which he presented as primary evidence for alien involvement. Primarily, he seized on the undeniable fact that the lines are only clearly discernible from a significant altitude. He famously asserted that seen from the air, the clear-cut impression that the 60 kilometers long plain of Nazca made on me was that of an airfield, proposing that the long, perfectly straight lines and colossal trapezoidal shapes were in fact runways for alien spacecraft, a monumental alien airport, or a landing strip designed for interstellar visitors. Furthermore, the distinct human-like figure with large round eyes and an unusual head shape, often dubbed the astronaut or the alien in popular culture, was readily interpreted by von Däniken and his followers as a direct depiction of an extraterrestrial visitor or an alien being in a spacesuit. This figure became an iconic image in the ancient alien narrative. Underlying these specific claims was his broader assertion that many ancient monumental constructions across the globe demonstrated a level of engineering and astronomical precision supposedly impossible for ancient peoples without extraterrestrial aid, implying a necessary external intervention due to a perceived insurmountable technological gap. His methodology often involved posing rhetorical questions designed to cast doubt on conventional archaeological explanations, selectively interpreting evidence, distorting or misrepresenting archaeological findings, and dismissing established scientific explanations outright as inadequate or narrow-minded. This approach, while lacking academic rigor, fueled a powerful narrative of unexplained mysteries and suppressed truths. Despite widespread and vehement critiques from the scientific community, von Däniken's compelling narrative, presented with a seemingly authoritative yet speculative tone, managed to resonate with a broad public seeking extraordinary explanations for ancient enigmas. He consistently challenged established academia, framing himself as an independent thinker daring to ask questions others wouldn't, which further solidified his appeal to a segment of the public skeptical of mainstream science. It is important to note that while von Däniken primarily posits the presence of ancient astronauts, his works generally do not delve into specifying particular alien races or species by name in relation to the Nazca Lines. Rather, he refers to them generically as visitors, extraterrestrials, or gods who imparted knowledge or were worshipped. The idea of specific alien races, for example Anunnaki, Pleiadians, Syrians, or various reptilian species being tied to ancient sites often emerged from later, more elaborate developments within the broader ancient alien subculture, sometimes drawing on New Age interpretations of other ancient texts, channeled messages, or speculative pseudoscientific theories, rather than directly from von Däniken's initial, more generalized Nazca-focused theories. However, the ancient astronaut hypothesis, particularly as applied to the Nazca Lines, is almost universally and vehemently rejected by mainstream archaeologists, historians, and scientists for several key evidence-based reasons. Firstly, there is no empirical archaeological evidence whatsoever. No alien artifacts, no remains of advanced technology, no chemical traces inconsistent with known ancient human activities that supports the claim of alien involvement at Nazca or any other ancient site. The thousands of archaeological excavations conducted in the Nazca region have consistently yielded only evidence of human material culture. Instead, experimental archaeology has repeatedly and conclusively demonstrated that the lines could be and were made with relatively basic surveying tools like wooden stakes, long ropes, and sighting boards, and coordinated human labor, thus entirely negating any perceived technological gap that would necessitate extraterrestrial intervention. Researchers have successfully recreated sections of the lines using only the technology available to the ancient Nazca people, proving their methods were entirely feasible. The supposed runways are simply shallow depressions, mere inches deep, entirely unsuitable for heavy aircraft landings or takeoffs, and frequently traverse uneven, dangerous terrain including hillsides and steep ravines, which would make them utterly impractical and hazardous for any form of aerial vehicle, alien or otherwise. Moreover, the astronaut figure and other unusual depictions are entirely consistent with known Nazca iconography and religious beliefs, which are rich in depictions of shamans in ritualistic dress, powerful animal spirits, and anthropomorphic deities with exaggerated features, not extraterrestrial visitors. Critically, scientific scholars emphasize that the alien theory fundamentally undervalues and implicitly disrespects the intelligence, creativity, and self-determination of ancient indigenous cultures. It strips them of credit for their own monumental achievements, assuming that complex feats must stem from external, superior intervention, rather than from human ingenuity, dedicated labor, deep cultural knowledge, and sophisticated understanding of their environment. This is often viewed as a subtle form of cultural bias, projecting modern technological superiority onto the past. The alien theory appeals to a sense of mystery and offers a sensational, easily digestible narrative, especially to a public captivated by the space-age era's focus on extraterrestrial life, often without widespread access to nuanced archaeological explanations. This highlights the ongoing challenge for academics in communicating complex scientific findings accurately and countering misinformation that gains traction through popular media. Understanding how different cultures or backgrounds view the Nazca Lines also helps appreciate the nuanced reception of these theories. For indigenous Peruvian communities and the local population of Nazca, the lines are far more than mere curiosities. They are a vital, living part of their ancestral heritage and spiritual landscape. They represent the profound ingenuity, deep spiritual connection, and enduring legacy of their ancestors. Locals often view the lines as sacred spaces, connecting them to ancient rituals for water, fertility, and communication with the powerful Andean deities who govern the natural world, such as Pachamama, Mother Earth, and various mountain apos spirits. Many elderly Nazca residents speak of the lines being created by their ancestors as elaborate offerings or as pathways for rituals, connected to crucial agricultural cycles, or even as representations of constellations visible to them from elevated points like surrounding hills. There's an immense sense of pride in their ancestors' abilities to create such enduring symbols. The alien theory, while popular with some tourists and sometimes a source of exotic curiosity for younger generations exposed to global media, is generally seen by the local community as disrespectful and culturally appropriative, diminishing their heritage and denying their ancestors the credit for these extraordinary achievements. Many feel it trivializes centuries of their history and traditional knowledge by suggesting an external, non-human intervention was necessary to explain their genius. Local tour guides, many of whom are descendants of the Nazca people, and community leaders actively work to emphasize the human ingenuity and spiritual significance over speculative theories, educating visitors about the rich cultural context of the Nazca people and their profound, intricate connection to the land and the cosmos. The Western academic and scientific community focuses on evidence-based, rigorous research, applying multidisciplinary methodologies to understand the lines within their specific cultural, environmental, and chronological context, seeking explanations within known human capabilities and cultural practices. Conversely, some in New Age and spiritual communities might interpret the lines through a lens of cosmic energy, ley lines, or ancient wisdom, more open to non-conventional explanations and sometimes aligning with the broader ancient astronaut narrative, viewing the lines as energy conductors or portals. The general public worldwide remains fascinated by the enigma, often exposed to sensationalized media that favors the alien narrative due to its dramatic appeal. This diverse reception prompts important considerations, as critics might accuse academics of dismissing anything extraordinary, to which the response is that scientific inquiry embraces extraordinary human ingenuity while demanding tangible, verifiable evidence. The question of how they could be seen from the ground is answered by the presence of numerous natural hilltops, such as the Cerro Blanco Dune, which offer commanding views of sections of the plain, and the Nazca's documented use of strategically placed observation mounds during construction, enabling them to survey and verify their designs. Claims of a lack of advanced technology are further refuted by the Nazca's mastery of hydraulic engineering as seen in the puquios, sophisticated ceramics, and complex textiles, forms of technology perfectly suited to their environment and needs, representing a distinct and impressive form of advanced capability. Beyond their historical and archaeological significance, the Nazca Lines resonate deeply with several pressing current events, global issues, and profound philosophical questions, offering a unique interdisciplinary lens. They serve as a potent symbol of cultural heritage directly threatened by climate change, as increasingly frequent and intense El Niño events bring torrential rains that erode the shallow geoglyphs, mirroring a global issue for archaeological sites from coastal ruins to remote desert landscapes worldwide. The impact of these increasingly frequent and intense deluges can be devastating, washing away entire sections of the geoglyphs or creating deep erosional gullies across them, causing irreversible damage to the fragile surface that has withstood millennia of typical desert conditions. This alarming vulnerability raises crucial questions of sustainable tourism and heritage management, balancing the essential economic benefits that tourism brings to the local communities with the imperative for rigorous preservation. It places the lines within the broader discourse on cultural heritage at risk from both natural disasters and accelerating human encroachment, including illegal mining, agricultural expansion into protected zones, uncontrolled urbanization around Nazca and Palpa, and damaging infrastructure projects like the Pan-American Highway that literally cuts across sections of the plain. The groundbreaking use of technology in archaeology and preservation, particularly drones and artificial intelligence (AI) for discovery, detailed mapping, and continuous monitoring, exemplifies a transformative global trend in safeguarding cultural heritage. These technologies allow for rapid assessment of damage, identification of new features, and the creation of detailed digital archives. Philosophically, the lines touch upon epistemology, starkly highlighting the fundamental difference between evidence-based scientific knowledge and pseudoscientific beliefs. They serve as a compelling case study for critical thinking, urging skepticism towards claims unsupported by verifiable data. They also raise profound ethical questions about attributing indigenous achievements to external, non-human forces. This act is often seen as a subtle yet pervasive form of cultural appropriation that implicitly denigrates and undermines native cultures' self-worth, denying them agency and intellectual capability for their own monumental creations. The lines also prompt reflection on humanity's place in the cosmos and our innate drive to connect with the universe. Through art, ritual, and cosmological understanding, demonstrating a universal human capacity for abstract thought and complex belief systems. Furthermore, they evoke the aesthetics of scale and transcendence that inspire awe in the human observer, whether seen from an airplane or imagined from the perspective of their ancient creators. Interdisciplinary angles further enrich the discussion, drawing on geology and pedology to understand the unique soil composition and preservation mechanisms, climatology and paleoclimatology, for environmental context and understanding ancient climatic patterns that influence Nazca life, applied mathematics and surveying for insights into their precise construction techniques, and geometrical sophistication, politics and governance for the complexities of international heritage protection and national legislation via UNESCO, economics for the complex interplay of tourism, local livelihoods, and resource conflicts in the region, and psychology for understanding belief systems, human perception of large-scale art, and the universal experience of wonder and awe. Despite their ancient resilience, the Nazca Lines face increasing threats in the 21st century, primarily from accelerated climate change and intensified human activity. Beyond the aforementioned climate change and El Niño, which manifest as increasingly destructive flash floods and mudslides that carve deep furrows through the delicate geoglyphs, human encroachment and development are significant dangers. These include the expansion of illegal gold mining in the surrounding areas, whose informal roads and pollution threaten the integrity of the plain, agricultural frontiers pushing indiscriminately into protected zones, uncontrolled, urbanization around the towns of Nazca and Palpa, and damaging infrastructure projects like the Pan-American Highway that literally cuts across sections of the plain, causing direct damage and facilitating easier unauthorized access. Uncontrolled tourism, including unauthorized ground visits by individuals or groups, or illicit drone flights that can destabilize the fragile surface or obscure designated viewing areas, also pose constant threats. Even seemingly minor acts of vandalism, such as the internationally publicized 2014 Greenpeace incident near the hummingbird geoglyph, where activists left irreversible footprints, highlight the extreme fragility of the site. The Peruvian Ministry of Culture, in collaboration with international organizations like UNESCO, is actively engaged in protection through stringent access control measures, restricting entry to authorized personnel and designated viewing platforms, comprehensive monitoring using advanced aerial and satellite technologies, including AI-driven analysis to detect new damage or unauthorized incursions, continuous archaeological research to better understand, map, and digitally preserve the lines, and vital public awareness campaigns to foster local and global stewardship. These efforts are a constant, difficult race against time to prevent irreversible damage and ensure these masterpieces endure for future generations, serving as an irreplaceable window into a remarkable ancient civilization. In conclusion, the Nazca Lines remain one of the world's most captivating archaeological sites, a monumental testament to the ingenuity, spiritual depth, and complex worldview of an ancient civilization. They represent an unparalleled form of land art, meticulously designed on a scale that continues to defy easy comprehension and inspire awe across the globe. While the ultimate why behind their creation continues to be debated among scholars, each new discovery and each piece of detailed research using advanced methodologies adds another vital layer to our understanding of the Nazca people's profound relationship with their environment, their cosmos, and their deities. Dismissing their creation as the work of extraterrestrials undervalues the remarkable intellectual, artistic, and engineering capabilities of the Nazca culture, undermining the true compelling story of human achievement and adaptation. It diverts attention from the rich, human story of the Nazca people and the complex, ecologically driven reasons behind their monumental efforts. As technology advances and global conservation efforts intensify, the hope is that these enigmatic desert masterpieces will continue to inspire awe and fuel scholarly inquiry for millennia to come, safeguarding an irreplaceable legacy of human creativity and spiritual devotion, and serving as a poignant reminder of our shared responsibility for global cultural heritage in an ever-changing world.